Welcome back to Tweaker Garage. This part of the build deals with the suspension, axles, and selecting wheels and tires. We looked at a lot of vehicles when we started this build. Did hundreds of commando searches, and this one kind of kicked it off for us. We liked the look of this, and there was a few out there that looked pretty nice, and we pulled elements, design elements, and kind of got an idea for the size we wanted. Kind of surprised how many builds seemed to leave a lot on the table. But anyway, once we figured out what we wanted to do, we hit the classifieds and tried to find parts, sourcing some axles, and looking for a set of wheels and tires. On the wheels and tires, we settled for a set of Methods with 32-inch BF Goodriches, and we ran with those for a while. Painted them white to see how they'd look, because we were going to have some white detail that we were going to add to the Commando. But at the end of the day, we just didn't like the modern wheel on the old car. We ended up trying a set of 5 slotted mags on the Commando, and we weren't feeling it. And then kind of when we had moved on, and some Mickey Thompsons popped up that we found down in Los Angeles, so we ran down and picked those up, and we really liked the size of 33-inch Baja MTZ on a 15-inch fake beadlock that polished up pretty nice, and we thought it looked real good on the car, so we went with those for the build, and we're really happy with the outcome. Alright, let's start with the rear axle and suspension. I'll tell you, there's nothing better than sitting at work and seeing your Alcan spring show up on the Ring doorbell. We waited almost 2 months for these babies to come in, but we like Alcan for the quality and the nice ride it provides. Got the Jeep up on jack stands here, kind of simulate what we expect to be for the finished lift height, and started removing everything off the rear end, cleaning up the frame, getting it repainted. Got the new springs hung. We started the build with Curry shackles, and we replaced the stock hangers with some Mountain Off-Road hangers that are a little more beefy, and the other ones are kind of getting wiped out. We sent both axles out to get rebuilt, had them re-geared, 410 gears. I got a limited slip in the rear, all painted up, went through the brakes, new brake cylinders, anything that needed to be replaced, we replaced. And then there you can see the 2-inch spacers. Got the axle in the Jeep, got it back down under its own weight, and we weren't quite happy with the lift. We were looking for, maybe another inch or so. So we ended up replacing the Curry shackles with a slightly longer boomerang shackle. You'll see here in just a sec. Front axle, we looked high and low, ended up finding a wide track Dana 30 out of a CJ7. I think it was an 83 CJ8 actually. Got that all cleaned up and repainted, and then we bought this axle also for the disc brakes. We were always going to do a disc brake conversion, but by finding an axle with disc brakes, that saved us about $700. And then we drilled out the knuckles so we could flip the steering to the top side to get it out of the way of the rocks and stuff. And we're going to use the Go For It tapered kits to flip the tie rods. Here we got some Curry toe shackles because the guy intends to tow it around. And we did a complete rebuild on the front end, bearings and lockouts and whatnot. Got it up on jack stands and rolled the whole assembly out. And basically cut everything off the frame, started fresh, because we're going from the stock, I think it's 1 3/4 wide springs, to the Alcan. We used a YJ with 2.5-inch wide front spring. This is a 5-inch lift that we're putting on this car. While we were there, we painted the underside of the engine, got it cleaned up, and then it got all new hangers front and rear. We ended up cutting up the stock hangers in the rear because we liked they hung down a little bit lower than the ones I got from Barnes 4-wheel drive, and that helped our caster angle in the end. So I had my son modify the width on the stock hangers, but that got our geometry pretty nice.
See, that one had like a little gap in it. Beautiful.
Once we got it all put together and got it under its own weight, we still needed to add some caster to it. So you'll see a little bit later here, I did end up having to put some steel shims in to get the caster around 7 degrees. We extended shock length up front by adding some shock hoops, and we're using the Rancho 5000X shocks. Really happy with the ride there. Also there, you can see the Pitman arm is a little lower. It's not quite parallel with the tie rod, so we ended up getting rid of the 4-inch drop and going back to the stock Pitman arm, and that gave us some really nice geometry. All in all, we're real happy with the stance and the ride of this vehicle. We didn't spare any money or time on trying to make it right. Good parts, spent a lot of time, and it really paid off. So to recap, we got the stock Dana 44 totally rebuilt with a new limited slip rear end with 410 gears, and then a CJ7 wide track with a Spartan locker 410 gears, completely rebuilt as well on Alcan springs. In the next episode, we'll run through the interior, and we threw some power brake booster and the sliders on it. We'll cover that too, so we hope to see you back. Thanks for watching.